This happened to me almost 3 years ago, almost to the day, while I was in Idaho serving a full-time mission. The town my companion and I, who I'll refer to as Spencer, were assigned to was quite small, so there wasn't always a lot for us to do. On top of that, I was going through a rough patch at the time, dealing with things like self-esteem, issues, and trouble sleeping. Because of that, we sometimes found it difficult to stay out all day doing work. One unusual thing about where we were assigned was that we were living in an actual house, even though it was a small one. Usually missionaries stay in apartments, but in this area there weren't any nearby, so a house was the only option. The layout of the house was simple. When you walked through the front door, you entered the main room where our desks were. Immediately to the right was our bedroom. If you walked straight ahead, you passed through a large open doorway into the kitchen. From there, the bathroom was on the right, and the laundry room was on the left. That was basically the entire house, aside from a small storage closet in the kitchen. Another important detail was that although our house stood on its own lot, the landlord's house was right next door. If we ever had problems, we could just walk over or call him. On this particular night, I was sitting in the living room at my desk, on my phone, with my chair turned toward the kitchen. Spencer was in the bedroom, also on his phone. It had gotten dark a couple of hours earlier, so we had returned home and were just relaxing before going to bed. In the middle of whatever I was doing, I heard a single knock. It came from the window above the kitchen sink. Because of the layout of the house, that window had a direct view into the main living area where I was sitting. I looked up at it for a few seconds, but all I saw was darkness. I went back to my phone, thinking maybe it was just a branch or something. There were trees behind the house, but the more I thought about it, the less that explanation made sense. None of the trees were close enough to hit the window like that, and the sound I heard was a clear, deliberate knock. Right as I was thinking that, I heard another knock. This time, it came from the laundry room window. That's when the situation started to feel real. But even then, my mind kept trying to find a logical explanation, anything other than someone being outside, moving around the house. I started to call out to Spencer to tell him what I had heard. But before I could finish, another knock, this time from the living room window, the one right next to me. I didn't see who or what was on the other side, and I didn't want to. I jumped up and ran straight into the bedroom and locked the door behind me. I asked Spencer if he had heard it too. He said yes. We started trying to figure out what to do. All we had for protection were a couple of kitchen knives, and we had no idea how many people might be outside, or if they were armed. So going outside to confront them wasn't even an option. While we were talking, the knocking moved again, from the window to the front door. Each knock made things feel worse. We briefly considered calling the police, but we were in the middle of nowhere, and it would have taken them a long time to reach us. Then Spencer remembered we had the landlord's number. He called him and started explaining what was happening. By that point, we hadn't heard any knocking for a minute or two, but I knew what that meant, and I was dreading it. Then it came, a knock on our bedroom window. The blinds were closed, so we couldn't see outside, and whoever was out there couldn't see us. But that didn't make it any less terrifying. Spencer told the landlord that someone was circling the house. The landlord said he would come immediately with a shotgun. We waited in silence. No more knocking, just anticipation. After a few minutes, we heard a knock at the front door again. But this time, it was the landlord announcing himself. We carefully opened the door and asked if he had seen anyone. He said no, but he did say he saw a pickup truck speeding away as he approached. I asked if he got a license plate or anything useful. He said it was too far away. The three of us grabbed flashlights and went outside to check the area. There had been light snow a few days earlier, and small patches were still on the ground. That's when we saw them. Footprints, a single set, circling the entire house. We followed them as best we could, but they eventually disappeared. We thought about calling the police, but we knew there wasn't much they could do at that point. The landlord told us to call him again if anything else happened, then went back to his house. We locked everything and tried to sleep, but we couldn't. At first, we thought maybe it was other missionaries playing a prank, but that didn't make sense. It was past curfew, and the nearest missionaries were at least 20 minutes away. We also considered the possibility that it was local teenagers. But again, if it was a prank, why didn't they reveal themselves? Why didn't they laugh or run? And why was there only one set of footprints? If it was a prank, it would have likely been a group. We even asked around afterward. No one admitted to anything. To this day, we still have no idea who was outside that night, or why they chose our house. But the scariest part for me wasn't the knocking. It wasn't even the fact that only a thin layer of glass separated us from whoever was out there. It was the realization that when I first heard that knock at the kitchen window, I probably looked straight at them and didn't even know it. After that night, my sleep only got worse. Nothing seemed to help. And honestly, I don't think I could ever go back to that house.